If FAFO were an Olympic sport, then Muslims would be winning gold medals after gold medals after gold medals. If you want to know why Muslims behave the way they do, then watch this video until the end and you might understand it. But before we go further, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to support the channel, which you should because this video is likely to get demonetized, then you can go to patreon.com/Haris Sultan, or you can buy me a coffee on the link below. So let's get to our video. As you guys know, that the Iranian-backed Houthis have been provoking a conflict for many weeks now, and despite many warnings from the West, they haven't been listening. Part of the blame can be put on the leader of the free world for sleeping on the job, but American firepower is still no laughing matter. Yes, the US has been trying to avoid escalating the conflict, but it doesn't mean that the US is incapable of handling mindless militias like the Houthis, even if they are backed by a regime like Iran's. But unlike smart players, Muslims always get trigger happy and they think all they need is an initiative and then divine help will follow. Such is the power of blind faith. Since Allah is not real, no divine help comes. But what does come after the initiative are the cries and shrieks of genocide, ceasefire, please stop. And then all of us are left wondering, why do you poke the bear if you can't handle the heat? You'd think that after their misadventure on October 7th, they would have learned their lesson. However, they would have only learned it if they were rational actors. When you believe in flying donkeys and the moon being split in two and other nonsensical beliefs, thinking rationally becomes quite an impossible task. Instead, what they believe is that we should try again, take another initiative, and maybe this time divine help will come. This is what's been happening since this entire Israel-Palestine conflict started. We are living in one of the most confusing times. We have Muslim propagandists with huge followings, and we are only just starting to see the ramifications of this. Yes, sure, we have these Western useful idiots who waste no opportunity to attack the West, but at least in their minds, they think that they have the West's best interests at heart. However, these Muslim propagandists, they're not loyal to the West. Yes, they may hold Western passports, but they can't wait for the Western civilization to fall. Putin was the mastermind behind misinformation and disinformation campaign. He believed that this was the only way to subdue the West. Unfortunately for him, there are not that many Russians living in Western countries who share his dislike for the West. Therefore, he had to rely on his troll farms in St. Petersburg. Muslims, however, were watching carefully. Muslim governments noticed that if social media can cause the Arab Spring in countries where there's no free speech, imagine what it can do in countries where there is free speech, i.e. the West. If organized carefully, then we can create some social media influences and use West's freedom of speech against the West itself. This is why we have a handful of Muslim propagandists who spew venom against the West day in, day out, and let alone the government coming after them, even the social media platforms don't suspend their accounts. Yes, Haris, we have free speech, we have to respect that. No, I am not a free speech absolutist. I believe that if someone wants to use free speech against free speech, then he has no right to free speech. Let me give you an analogy. America has the right to bear arms, yeah? But if you were to take up arms against the state of America and then subsequently lost, then do you think that the state of America would still let you bear arms? No. That would be suicidal. In fact, in a free country like America, if you've committed a violent crime, you lose that right to bear arms. So how can we allow these people to keep using free speech against the country that is allowing them to use it? If you use your free speech against your prime minister or president for his domestic policy or even his foreign policy, that's fine. It's different. We can tell that you're using your free speech because in your mind you think that you are doing something good for your country. But these guys are not doing it for your country. They are loyal to their countries in the Middle East. They are loyal to Muslim Ummah. They're not loyal to America or the UK or Australia or Canada or any other Western country. Hundreds and thousands of Muslims, along with a few blue-haired Wokistanis, have turned up in the streets of Western capitals chanting death to the US, death to the UK. US, UK, go to hell! They speak with American and British accents, but they are loyal to their Muslim ummah, not America or Britain. When Hamas attacked Israel on the 7th of October, they were counting on the support of their fellow Muslims living in Western countries. Not Muslims living in Pakistan or Bangladesh. They are irrelevant, but Muslims living in Western countries.
كان في هناك عصا غليظة الأمريكان بيرفعوه في وجه العالم، ولكن هذه الدول ذاتها اليوم لغتها تغيرت. هذا الانتصار الذي جرى في 7 أكتوبر يجب أن نمسك به ونبني عليه ونراكم عليه. مسؤولين الدولة، الأحزاب، القوى، المجتمع المدني، المؤسسات، ويقوموا بواجبهم في دولتهم حتى بقيادة الجماهير. قيادة الجماهير.
And they weren't disappointed. They deliberately showed barbaric videos of killing babies, raping women, beheading men with shovels. In response, the Muslim diaspora celebrated the attacks. Then, when persistently nagged over not condemning Hamas, they started denying those atrocities that we saw. They saw with their own eyes. The videos made by Hamas, uploaded by Hamas, and they denied it. This emboldened Iran, which is first a Shia country, so a lot of Muslims don't even care about them, but also it has been becoming insignificant over the years. Iran knows that there is a massive sympathy for the Palestinian cause amongst Muslims. So, to garner their support, let me be a hero. Let me become the one to inflict injury upon the mighty United States of America. So, it gave its proxy, the Houthis, a green light to start attacking Western interests in the Red Sea corridor called Bab el-Mandeb. Lo and behold, it worked. Muslims suddenly forgot how their celebrations on October 7th backfired, and now they started praising the Houthis and started hoping that maybe this time Allah will help. It's interesting because the Saudis have been trying to normalize their ties with Israel. If Saudi Arabia had formally recognized Israel, then Iran and Hamas would have become absolutely irrelevant in the Israeli-Palestinian issue, something Iran could never tolerate. Hence, the events of October 7th happened. And this is why the Saudis are now helping the West against the Houthis. The Saudis have been trying to get rid of the Houthis for nearly a decade without any significant support from the West. But thanks to the stupid move by Iran, it's Christmas time. Or actually Eid, because they're Muslims. The US doesn't want this conflict to widen. Why? Because it's an election year. Biden does not want to drag America into another conflict in the Middle East. It is also not in the US's interest to destabilize the region because past misadventures have shown you try to kill one evil, a bigger evil comes up, like the Taliban and ISIS. However, Muslims think that if you are practicing restraint, then you must be weak. So they started ignoring US's warnings. And Muslims on social media, go the Houthis, we're with you. For weeks, the US warned that stop, otherwise we'll bomb the hell out of you. But Iran probably thought that they were bluffing. So basically, they fucked around and they thought that they're not going to find out. But obviously, the US was not going to let this go so easily. One thing that happened after the Second World War in the New World Order was that America ensured open seas for everyone, which benefited the whole world. Freedom of navigation ensures trade and hence prosperity. So if you think that you can take out a Greek ship or a German ship or a Norwegian ship and the US is going to let you do it, no. That wasn't going to happen. So, on 12th of January 2024, a coalition of 20 countries, including Saudi Arabia, Australia, Bahrain, the United Kingdom, led by the United States, they started bombing Houthi targets in Yemen. This is how stupid Iran is. Earlier that day, Iran hijacked a US-controlled, Greek-operated ship containing 145,000 tons of oil going from Iraq to Turkey. But I thought the Houthis and Iranians were only after Israeli ships. Because that's not how it works. You could have a crew of one country flying the flag of another country going from an unrelated country to another unrelated country. How would you know that it's an Israeli ship? The Houthis and Iranians know this. So they were just attacking left, right, and center. They attacked an Indian ship the other day. This was just a propaganda to get support from mindless, emotional Muslims. But the sad part is that even Muslims find out that they're being fooled by countries like Iran. They don't care. They hate the West so much. They want the West to fall so badly that they're like, that's okay. We're happy being useful idiots for you. We are dealing with absolutely crazy people. When the same Houthis were fighting the Saudis, nobody cared in the Muslim world. The Houthis got 250,000 Yemeni Muslims killed. Nobody cared. But now all of a sudden the Houthis stand up and they say, well, we're the ones. We are your heroes. We're going to destroy and sink American ships. The whole of Muslim world, not just the Muslims living in Muslim countries, but Muslims living in America and Britain who speak with American and British accents, who hold British and American passports, who chant death to the UK and death to the US. Those Muslims are supporting the Houthis. I have absolutely no doubt that the American firepower, along with its allies, are more than capable of not only just destroying these idiots like Houthis and Iran, but also taking care of China or Russia, barring that it doesn't become a nuclear conflict, which I think it won't, because China is a rational actor. They understand the doctrine of mutually assured destruction. These Houthis, they don't understand that. This is why we say this is a death cult. They believe in dying. They proudly, boastfully say that we love death more than you love life. They think it's a flex.
We believe that life begins at death. We don't care about death. We love death.
But this is a win-win war for the US. The US is under no obligation to go in Yemen and install a democracy and hence open itself up for failure. That's not going to happen. Muslims are emboldened by the thought that, oh, the United States lost in Afghanistan. The US didn't really lose in Afghanistan. Yes, they failed in installing democracy in a medieval barbaric society. They failed, yes, but they didn't fail in the primary objective. The primary objective was people who brought down 2 buildings and killed 3,000 American civilians. They all died like dogs. America succeeded in that. But then after that, America tried to install democracy. Yeah, it didn't work. But America is not a colonial power. America was always going to leave, and they did leave. But that's a bad story to draw motivation from, because this time, all America has to do is to pick up a missile heat signal and bomb the hell out of that place. If Iran joins in, then do the same with them too. America does not have to install democracy, and hence they cannot lose this. Joe Biden's been dozing off for too many hours. American firepower used to be a deterrent. Mutually assured destruction was a smart doctrine, and that kept us from needless wars. But because of Joe Biden's indecisive politics, not giving full support to Ukraine, Putin got emboldened, and then Hamas got emboldened, and now Iran got emboldened, and who knows how many other countries are probably thinking that America is weak. Maybe China is planning to invade Taiwan. I've had enough of Sleepy Joe. Let's get to the most important part of the video. A significant proportion of Muslim population who live in Western countries do not support these Western countries. In other words, they're traitors. People who chant death to America in America are traitors. Once this conflict is over, the FBI and other sister organizations in other fellow Western countries should launch one of the largest social media operations to identify the Americans, British, Canadian, Australians, etc. who live in these countries, yet they're root for Hamas and the Houthis and Iran. It's not that difficult. Just go through their accounts. How many accounts there would be? 1 million? Maybe 2 million accounts? Half of them would be bots anyway. Identify those accounts, arrest them, and deport them. Oh, it can be done. Pakistan just deported 1 million Afghans who were born and raised in Pakistan. And you know what Pakistan government said? They said, well, they're anti-Pakistan. We can't handle them. You take them back. And even the Taliban, who initially resisted, ended up taking them. And most of these countries are third world hellholes. All you have to do is say, we're offering $1,000 per deportee. I'm telling you, Pakistan is so cash strapped that they will take them with both hands. Pakistan would even say, are you sure you don't want to deport any more people? If we want to save the West, then radical steps like these must be taken. The West can defeat Russia or China and even Iran, but you cannot defeat an enemy that is so numerous within your own borders. Hope you learned something from this video. like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and support my channel by going to patreon.com/Harris Sultan, or you can buy me a coffee. Until next time, ta-da. If you'd like to support my work, you can become my patron by going to patreon.com/Harris Sultan, or you can simply buy me a coffee.